All right, your future. You are allowed back in the U.S., so let me be the first person to invite you to our masjid. Okay. And you've
Inshallah,
been
now
here
this is on
before.
record.
Yeah, you've been here before.
Inshallah.
You've been to our masjid before.
I have.
So you're gonna give
phenomenal.
it 6-7 months. Now your wife is gonna let you go.
Inshallah, I'll bring her with me as well. You know, the Americans
Yeah.
are wonderful in that regard.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, I was telling Dilly earlier. He asked me a similar question, and I said to him, people often talk about career paths like they are, you know, like a linear. You know, they go higher and higher. But my theory is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who knows the unknown and what will happen. And the irony is that I did a podcast with Usama Shurafa in Canada.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot this, but he asked me in the end, what do you think is coming next? And I said to him that, you know, I don't know if what's coming next is his or prison. Only Allah knows. And my theory is that I think life is 6 or 7 chapters. If you pass 4 out of the 7, you enter Jannah. That Allah gives you different chapters and He equips you with different skills and talents, or He takes away some skills and talents and resources and sees how you will adapt in that chapter. When you are in izz, how do you conduct yourself? When I take it away, how do you conduct yourself? If I put you in prison, you're telling people Ummah has khair. Do you believe in it? Let me put you 2 weeks in the prison and see if you still have the same attitudes in that regard. When you ask what's next in the future, I told a friend, I'm scared of what's coming, not because I think it's going to be bad, but stakes are higher. And I don't know. I mean, it feels like storm and storm and storm, and Allah has helped me to get through it. I'm hoping that if I pass the previous chapter, Allahumma, please let me get through the next chapter. And let me get through the chapter. Allahumma, I don't ask whether I will be this sort of great hero success. I just ask that I'm used as a vehicle in any role whatsoever, and that whatever hardships come my way, I'm equipped to get through that hardship. Allahumma, don't let me be somebody who buckles and leaves, because I know the story of the Mujahid who on his death, you know, when he's so close, his wounds are so great, he decides to kill himself and he's condemned to Jahannam. I know those stories, and I don't believe myself better than these individuals. Rather, these days, I no longer plan for the future per se, but what I say is, Allahumma, what's coming, I accept. Just if you're going to make it come, equip me to be able to ride through it and still say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah at the end of it.
You said one time that a lot of people like your political analysis until you begin to speak about divinity and belief and Allah and sabr. But you can't be active in the world without these things. Otherwise,
100%.
Another power is what's going to dictate your action, including people's personal power, love of rage, love of anger, or love of hate. And so in this imprisonment of yours probably strengthened that belief that you can't not be an activist without a religion. You have to have strong, deep roots. Otherwise, you can become really bitter. Like you could have come out of there full of more rage and more anger rather than full of gratitude, full of more wisdom, understanding things.
I always argue, in my opinion, that belief in Allah is easy, submission to Allah is hard. Shaitan knows Allah exists with yaqeen, but he was angry at the role Allah assigned for him. And we always think that's just shaitan phenomenon. But how many of us, when Allah gives us a role in life, we dream of other roles and we are ungrateful for the role Allah gave us in society at that particular moment with the resources that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? How many of us look at that role and say, Allahumma, I want to be Shadee, I want to be Yasir Fahmi, I don't want to be the guy who's just driving, you know, people to the airport or that kind of thing. A sort of ingratitude in that regard. And the reason I base that ingratitude in arrogance, it's Allahumma, why do you have to be the main character of the story? I want to be the main character of the story. Why is it I have to be majhoolan fil ardh? You know, where I don't get celebrated for my efforts and the like. It's almost like you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma, I'm upset at the pace of your event. I'm upset at your pace of the events. I know what the pace should be like. I know how Palestine should be liberated. I know what should be done in that way. People think that it sounds from Iman, but in reality, it sounds closer to kufr. You know, when people say, and I always had this issue when people say, oh, but Sami, the Zionists, they have the money, they have the this and whatever. I tell them, objectively, maybe you're right. But why do your voices sound more like the hypocrites who told the believers, Inna nasa qad jama'u lakum fakhshawhum, rather than the Sahaba who said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil? Why do your words sound more like hypocrites who said, oh, look at how powerful they are, and you look how weak we are? But the Sahaba said, so what if they have the money and the like? We have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's go. And that's the point that I make here, in that you cannot do this without a surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. that whatever happens is the best thing that Allah planned. And you may plan, but Allah's plan is always better. And I finish with this story just before Maghrib leaves me. I finish with this story. When they offered me the deal, I wasn't sure whether to take it or not. I knew it's a victory, but I thought, how can I push it even further? So I was pacing up and down. My family were like, come home, take the deal. And a brother called Ismail, Bengali brother, says to me, Brother Sami, today you're not smiling. Is this place getting to you? And I said to him, Wallahi, I've been offered a deal, but I'm just not sure whether to take it or not. And he said, Brother Sami, it's a no-brainer. They wanted to take away your voice, and as long as you're here, your voice is gone. Go to London, get your voice back, and then come back.
SubhanAllah.
I said, yeah, but he said to me, are you worried about a dignified departure? I said, I am thinking a little bit about that. He said, but the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they took his voice away from Mecca, he had to flee from Mecca and go to Medina to get his voice back. And then he came back later in full glory. It doesn't matter the manner of your departure. Go to your Medina, get your voice, and come back to America in glory. Unless you think you're better than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I took the phone, yeah, Sheikh Shadee. I called my lawyers. I said, Wallah, take the deal, take the deal. Wallahi, wallah. If you don't have that framework and that guidance, you will get lost in pride and arrogance. And I'm happy that Allah so far at least allows me to remember him day and night. And I hope Allah allows me to do so until my dying breath.
Inshallah, we want to initiate and launch off of what you experienced to help some of these other people get their freedom back, get back to their families, especially the sister. Not that any injustices are different, but just imagine if your wife was in jail with strangers. Just imagine if your daughter was in jail, right? It can't be accepted. So if you don't like it for your own family, you shouldn't like it for someone else's family. That's one of the meaning. The Muslims is like one body. Right, you're not going to say, okay, my right hand, I'm right, burn it. I got my left hand, right? So, I think that should be one of the lessons that we take from this. We launch pad from your experience that got on everyone's radar, to now we could focus the same energy on some of these people who are less known, and get them some help too. So, final word, as you said, as that Bengali brother told you, the Prophet ﷺ left, got his voice back, came back. So I'm going to reiterate for you, inshallah, when you come back, your first stop, you're already friends with Sheikh Yasser Fahmy, but I did the official first invitation, right? First invitation back to the US. Okay.
He's going to call me after and hang me for it, but yeah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
I'm looking forward to it. May Allah bless you, Sheikh Shadee.
Ameen.
And I say this openly in front of everybody. If you come up with a plan and you want to deploy me in anything, use me. And may Allah use all of us, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Sounds good. Jazakallah khairan.